Welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie in the craft room with yet another December daily. We are getting close to the end of the project. and so for today we're focusing on day 29, and the story I want to tell, I should say, is actually about all the different wreaths that are in the apartment complex that I live in. And I snuck around and snuck all these photos. I'm not sure why I felt like I was sneaking around. I mean, they're on the exterior door. It's not like I, crawled into someone's yard to take these photos, but it was kind of funny. I was trying to take all these photos and I kept saying to myself, please don't open the door and see me standing there taking a photo. But that didn't happen. So fortunately I was able to get all the photos that I wanted to take. I think there was a couple more that I didn't include just because they either didn't turn out, like the lighting was really bad on them, or they just were too small and I only had room for 24. So I narrowed it down. But there's at least 24 wreaths in the apartment complex. I mean, it's a pretty big complex. It's a pretty big complex, but it's not super, like I'm thinking maybe we have maybe 100 units. So that's pretty good that 25 or more people put stuff out on their doors. Of course, I'm not one of them, at least not this year. Next year may be a different story. So I just did these digitally in Photoshop Elements. I just created a template with some clipping masks and then just added the photos in there. And what I would like to do is use this acetate sheet from Felicity Jane and include that in the middle. I have this fern wreath from Tonic that I thought I would trim out and adhere on the acetate sheet. And then I have the number 29. This is also from Felicity Jane that I would like to add in the middle. I'm not sure what I'm going to cut the wreath out of yet. I'm going to look through my scrap papers and see what I've got that will work. There is also this bow in here, so I'm going to try and see if I can maybe cut the majority of this out of one paper and then the wreath out of, not the wreath, the bow out of another. And then because this is acetate, I will probably cut a second one to go on the back. And I think what I want to do on the back side will be my journaling just about the wreaths themselves, that they're in the complex. And the title that I have for this is A Wreath Upon the Door, and I'm not sure where I'm going to add that. I don't know. I don't have a clue at this point. So I think I'm going to start with what I do know, and then we'll see what ends up coming out of it at that point. Okay, so I will check back with you shortly. So I cut out a couple of the wreaths of two different kinds of cardstock. I picked one from my kit. This was the Felicity Jane green paper with the triangles on it that look like trees, and it's pretty. I just don't think that with my vision of this going on the acetate sheet on top of these wreaths that it stands out enough. It kind of blends in and gets lost. So I went to my scrap bin and I found this darker green, and I think this looks much better. So I think that's what I'm going to use on there. And then I just took a small piece of red glitter paper and just covered this part of the die here, so just where the bow is, and then I just trimmed out all the extra pieces so that I just have the bow. And I think I'm going to add that on like so. And then we'll glue that whole thing down. And the back side of this is a fairly neutral, so what I think I might do in order to use this is glue this on the other side to cover any glue and stuff that's showing through from gluing it on the front. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, just thought I'd let you know that was what I did as far as how to decide on the wreath color. The other thing, it's a pretty intricate die. If you do have a precision plate, if you use like a Big Shot, I highly recommend it because it cut out beautifully with the precision plate. Without it, it still cuts, but it's more work to get all the little chads and stuff out of it. So just a tip, if you have the precision plate, it's worth digging it out and using it. Okay, so here are my pages. They just barely fit in the album and I still got 2 days left to go. This is going to be a tight fit. But we're going to make it work, right? Because we're not creating another album just for this. So I adhered the back, I adhered the left hand page of Wreaths to the back side of my calendar. And this page was a little bit smaller, so I've got a little bit of a gap here. Right now, I'm just leaving it as is. If it really bothers me, I will add a strip of the red glitter paper along the edge. Basically, what's going to determine that is what I do with the back side of this one. If this has a similar issue, then we'll symmetrical them up. I don't think that's a word. But for now, I'm okay with it. It's very light, and so it doesn't really stick out that much, so it doesn't bother me too terribly much. I took 2 tags from Felicity Jane and I adhered them back to back. I put the title on the one side, and then I just put like all the Christmas wreaths at Scott Villa, which is where I live, and I just threw that in here loose. When the album's closed, it needs to be this way, but of course when it's down, it can be hanging like that, or however it needs to hang as you're flipping through. So I quite like that interactive element. I adhered the wreath as intended along with the 29, and on the back side I just adhered another wreath with the same colors, and I just left the 29 as is. You can see a little bit of the adhesive, but I'm okay with that. And then basically here's the other page. So that is day 29. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to 29. So just a couple more days and we should be wrapping this project up. Until later, happy crafting.